What do you guys, well, you might actually have an answer for this because even though you've only been in your position for 6 months, you've been around Kulshan for a while. Can you guys think of like a story, one of the things that sticks out to you, somebody's story that like, man, like this impacted and changed their lives, changed their family, changed.
There's so many. There are so many good ones.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to be sure to explain that the thing that makes Kulshan a community land trust is that a third of our board is made up of homeowners. And so homeowners are actually at the helm of making the decisions around how the land trust moves forward.
So the Kulshan homeowners, one third of the board is Kulshan homeowners.
Yes. And so I don't know if you have a specific story you wanted to share.
Well, do you have one?
I mean, I do, but you might have a better one.
I don't know. I mean, there is so many. But we just did a fundraiser on Valentine's Day, and a friend of mine who many years ago, this was a gal who was married, had a kid. They both had jobs. They were friends of ours. Our kids played together, and her husband got into an accident and then got addicted to opiates, and their life fell apart. And she ended up a single mom and struggling. She was a child care provider, so not making a ton of money, but working really hard, long days, and I just watched her move in and rent rooms in houses of other people. And then she had finally landed in this tiny apartment. And I went over one day just to check in on her. And she was just trying so hard to put on a brave face for her kid, and was like, this is what we can afford. And I hope that they just don't raise the rent because this is all I can do. And trying to make the best of it. And I was at work one day, and Kulshan had a flyer for a house that they were putting up for resale. And I sent her a link and was like, you should apply for this. You might qualify. And she didn't think she would, so she didn't pay attention to me. And then I went back over to her house a couple days later, and I was like, no, really, you should do the thing. She did, and she got the house. And she's now, her daughter is getting a full ride scholarship to UW.
Oh, wow.
She's in getting her graduate degree up at Western. It's like the stability and having this home ownership has changed her life completely.
That's awesome.
So that's one story, and it's, it happens to be that it was a personal friend of mine. But I have lots of friends that have been Kulshan Community Land Trust homeowners, and all of them have a story.
Oh, for sure.
I was on the job for just a few weeks when we did our first resale, and the new owners were in the office and, just crying when they got the keys, and there was not a dry eye in the office. You like to see that, like the power that that this family was going to get is so moving. So I knew right then that I was in the right role and doing the right job.
Yeah, it is powerful. It's impactful to take somebody from feeling, I don't know if something changes, I don't know what we're going to do, right? If they raise the rent 10%, I don't know what I'll do, to create that stability. And daughter goes to college, and she's single moms are the poorest class in America. It's very difficult. And so it's really cool. That's going to be like rewarding to be part of that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I know it firsthand. I was a single mom, and fortunately, I bought the house when my daughter was 6 months old, and so I was able to buy a house for $145,000. My house is now worth $700,000, right?
Right.
And if it wasn't for like getting in at that time, I don't know what would have happened. But
right.
The fact that we were able, my daughter was able to walk to schools, and I trusted my neighbors, and she was often like roaming neighbors' homes, you know, but I always knew that she was in good hands because I knew who they were.
Right. You got to know your neighbors because there's
That's right.
stability there.
Yep.
Because the neighbors aren't always moving every 6 months to a year.
For better or worse, most of them have had to live next to me for 20, 25 years.
Sometimes I feel bad for my neighbors. All right. You're like, thank you. You guys are very kind.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think it's just that owning a home provides such a foundational level of security that it then frees up that headspace and energy where a lot of homeowners will say that now I was able to contribute to my community. Like I was able to go back and give.
Right.
One of our longest and most vocal supporters has been the Representative Alex Rammel, who was a Kulshan homeowner. And so he has come and spoken at a lot of our events and said how being a Kulshan homeowner gave him the ability to then launch into the career that he is in now.
That's cool. Yeah, it is. Like you do, I think that's a really good way to put it. Like we don't always think about it, but just the headspace of knowing there's stability as an adult, also as a child, right? As you're growing up in a home that has stability versus a home that you don't know where are we going to be, what's going to happen. To just have that. It's interesting. I was just thinking about it. We have some friends that they moved around a lot. And my wife and I, we bought our house 25 years ago. And we've lived in the same house for 25 years. And we went through a period of time where we were thinking of selling it and moving because we were like, oh, maybe we ended up not. We just remodeled it instead. But I would call them my niece because we're so close, but because we've been friends with their family for 30 years. But they were like, you can't move. You can't sell the house. Like that's like the stability that it creates in people to have like, this is a place that's always there. This is the home you can always walk into. And that isn't changing constantly. Yeah, I think it does. It completely changes the way you think about things. It changes your own view of the world, and it changes your stress level, which then allows you to engage into other things when you're not worried about something. So it's interesting, like how that stability really impacts a lot, and how you can break that cycle by simply helping people get into homes is so cool. I don't know. I got excited the more I learned about what you guys are doing, and then the more research I was doing about how homeownership affects families and affects crime rates and affects economic opportunities. I was like, man, like that's when you look at the problems in society, like a lot of it stems from the fact that we can't get people into homes. So.
Yeah, people's happiness is directly correlated to their connections with other people. Mm-hmm. And when you have that stability and you're secure and you're in your same home for 25, 30 years, you build that community around you and it increases your happiness. And right. So I like to think we're just making happy people.